Hello everyone. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a family tree. Could look like this one, could look completely different, but it's not as hard as it looks. It'll take you about an hour. Let's dive in. If you're like me, you probably did a Google search looking for a family tree maker and quickly became overwhelmed. A lot of websites claim that they can help you make a family tree, but they don't really deliver. The good news is you can make one yourself. This one simple trick makes it so easy anyone could do it. You can even add a little flair to it, such as putting the names on scrolls or leaves or giving the shapes a gilded look. We'll get fancier as we go along, but for now, let's dive in. First, you should pick your program of choice. Anything where you can draw boxes and lines should work just fine. Procreate, Paint, Microsoft Word, Google Sheets, Minecraft, Fusion 360, whatever you want to use, whatever floats your goat, it will work. I'm going to use Photoshop because that's what I'm most comfortable with, but it literally does not matter. So let's make a Photoshop document here. New 20 by 20 should give us plenty of room. Let's get background. Cool, new layer. We're gonna make a rectangle. Let's make it 1 by 2. Let's see, 50 point, stroke black. Okay. Behold, a box. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make a box. Simple enough. Genetic family trees use boxes for men and circles for women, but that's just for medical purposes. You don't have to do that. Just a box is fine for now, and everybody can be in a box if you want. Now what you want to do is put several boxes in a row. How many depends on how many people are in the youngest generation. So if you're doing one for your personal ancestors, you're going to want to round up from however many cousins that you have. I'm going to do the family from Encanto, which is my son's current obsession. And that has 6 cousins in the youngest generation. So let's round that up to 10 and give ourselves some breathing room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to shrink it a little bit, no problem. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said 10. We're going to do 10. Okay. And a row of 10. Okay, let's merge these two. We have a coherent row. Next, you're going to make more rows. Give yourself space between them. The gap should be able to fit at least one box, so you don't want to do this. What you want to do is more like this. Okay? This is not life or death. All you need to do is give yourself some room to work. You're going to make one row for each generation. So Mirabelle and her sisters and cousins will go here. Then the triplets and their spouses, and then Abuela. That's 3 generations total. Make them evenly spaced. Okay. Now we have something that looks a little like a matching tile game or maybe a grid. If you have more generations, it's going to look more like that. And you might be thinking, this is way more boxes than I need. I don't have 30 family members. Or possibly, I'm going to need way more boxes than this. I understand. I have a huge family too. This would not seem like enough boxes. But stay with me. What you want to do is find a good starting point. You can start at the top, the bottom, the middle, wherever you want. It just has to be the spot you're more comfortable with. For example, I'm going to start with Mirabelle. Put her right in the middle here. Font's a little too big. Shrink it a little bit. Zoom in a little. Boom. Mirabelle gets a box. I'm going to add a text box with her name, put it somewhere in the bottom row. And there she is. Boom. From there, I spread upward. We'll do Mirabelle and her sisters. She's the youngest. Let's see, Isabella and Louisa. I hope I'm spelling all this right. Okay. We got the 3 sisters. Now let's do her parents. Why are you doing this? See, okay. Her mother's Julieta, and her father is Augustine. Yeah, okay. Can't do accents on this laptop. It'll be fine. So I'm putting them in birth order, but you don't have to. I may have to move some names around here, but it's okay if I have to. No problem. So let's see. Once I have done the original family, I'm going to go upward from here and do Julieta's mother, Abuela. So her name's actually Alma, so we'll do that. And then, God, what was the grandfather's name? Put on some hold music while I look that up. I want to say Pedro? Yep, Pedro. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to add spouses and children of the siblings. So once we've spread upward, we want to spread out. Julieta, they're triplets, so it does not matter who's first. You don't have to do them in birth order anyway. You can do them whatever order you want. So let's say Peppa. Actually, let's do it this way. And then Felix. Okay, so that's that generation done. Now we need Peppa and Felix's kids. So for that, we're going to need to move everybody down one. Not really a problem though. This is why we have the box format. We just move them over one box. Actually, let's move them over 2. Give us some room. No problem. We got plenty of room. So we have the oldest is Dolores. And then it's Camille. And then Antonio. All right. We have all 6 cousins, all 3 siblings, the 2 spouses, and the 2 grandparents. That's all our names. Now, we may want to add boxes in between families like this so that they kind of lump into their own little units. Or what we may want to do is keep the siblings together, but add a box between the spouses to make it extra clear that they are not related. We can do that either way. Let's do this for now. We have plenty of space to work with, so it's not really an issue to move stuff around. That's why we need all the space. Once you have all the names roughly in order and you're happy with the layout, which I'm not quite yet. Okay, now I am. It's time to delete the empty boxes. If you don't move the ones that you already have, you still get a nice consistent look. So don't move them, just delete the ones you don't need, like so. Okay, a box is empty, is going to go. Chop. And chop. Let's see. Nice and symmetrical. Everybody had 3 kids. didn't have a spouse. That makes life easier for us. Maybe not for him. Does not matter. Not a problem. All right, here it is. Beautiful. Now it is time to draw the lines. Okay. So the most basic family trees draw a straight, solid line between spouses like this. Let's do black. No stroke. So center of box, directly between spouses. Boom. Then the children are a 90-degree branch, like this. So you take this, 90 degrees, directly from the middle, shorten a little bit, so we can do this. Center it. And that song's gonna be stuck in my head all day. The one where she's introducing her family. I'm singing it while I do this, and it's oof. The most hilarious part of this movie to me was that they think this is a big family. Because my parents have way more siblings than this. And it ends up with, 60 to 75 people per side of the family. And, yeah. Okay, anyway. This is what a 90-degree branch looks like. This is typical for children. So this is what the typical simple family tree looks like. Now, some people put the spouses at a 90-degree branch too. Like this. Okay, that's also a 90-degree branch. Or what you can do, if you prefer, is to use a double line for spouses. Like that. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want as long as it's consistent. Then once people figure out this means spouse, they can go around and every time they see that again, they'll understand that's spouse. All right. Now, you might have a complicated sort of family with half-siblings, second cousins, second spouses, step-families, adopted children, that sort of thing. If you do, you might want to differentiate between divorces and marriage. You can use a dashed line or put an X or a slash through the marriage line, like this. Let's do 45 degrees. Okay, so if a marriage has this through it, they're not married anymore. If you have a sort of complicated family, if you need to indicate a divorce, another way to do that is to make the line dashed, like I did here, between Pedro and Alma, assuming they got divorced. Now, you don't have to do this if the spouse is deceased. So let's pretend that Alma has a secret second family so that I can demonstrate how to do a couple of these things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a little bit of space and then put her first spouse on one side and her second spouse on the other. We're going to call him Fabio. Where's the square? There he is. Okay, now some family trees will put them up here. And then put the line. Then put the line like this. I found this on a family tree of the Windsor family, aka the British royal family, which they desperately needed because of just how crazy that family tree was. So every once in a while they go sideways and list the siblings like this. But we don't have to do that right here. We gave ourselves plenty of room. Alright, so Alma divorced Pedro in this imaginary scenario, and married Fabio. We're going to want to put Augustine somewhere way over here so we don't mix him up with the secret love child, who is right here. Okay, so we would just do it like this, and we want them all to be on the same row to indicate that they are in the same generation. This does not mean they're the same age, but this does let us have a quick visual that they are half siblings. And then we put Augustine way over here so that nobody thinks it's related to Julieta, and instead, in this scenario, instead of just a straight line between them, we may want to do a 90-degree bracket, which is fine. Sometimes you need those. He's in the same generation, so we're going to go back to our grid pattern. Use the grid pattern, it's very useful. Okay, so there we go. Julieta and Augustine are over here. Secret love child's right here. At no point does it look like any of the lines, even from a distance, connect secret love child to either of these two. It is very clear, and that's what's great about this system. So this line drawing is going to take the longest of all the steps. It just is. You'll probably find that plenty of things need rearranging on the fly. I certainly did. I had to take a break in the video to answer a phone call and got things a little bit more together in that time. It happens. And we can move things around. That's okay. We've got plenty of room, and it does not take that long. So we're going to just shorten this one. So this is a 90-degree branch for spouses. Not quite as popular as the straight line, but you can do it if you want to. We will definitely need a branch for the sisters, though. So you can do it about halfway. Put some hold music or something on this while I do this. Like I said, this part takes the longest. It can be a little bit tedious, but it's not that complicated. And that's the nice thing about the grid system. It makes it much simpler. You just have to draw all the little lines. In other programs, there are faster ways to do this than what I am doing. However, I have chosen the program I have chosen. That's just how everything goes. Ta-da! We are finished with this basic tree. Wasn't so hard. And we went over some scenarios in case it gets a little more complicated if it needs to, but really it's very simple. Okay, now let's say you wanted to do something fancier, like a picture frame around each name. In Photoshop, that's actually really easy. Let's pick Pedro. Blending options. Let's see, bevel. Inner bevel, should go hard probably. Hold on. This would work a whole lot better if the dumb square were empty. There we go. Alright, let's demonstrate with this empty square. Zoom in a little. Now if we do bevel, bevel, let's do hard, and let's make it a little bit bigger. You can start seeing how it becomes a frame, right? And then we can do color overlay. We can make it kind of gold. And let me tell you, for gold, you want something that's more of a beige. Like it's got to be beiger than you think for it to have that look. Okay, now here we go. This is a sort of a gilt frame, and you can change it to gold, you can change it to silver. Silver is easy. Boom. That's more of a steel. Boom. Silver. In any other program, you might have to find a picture off the internet to use and then copy paste it in. Alright, so if you want to do a picture, put it in the document and then just slide it under the person like this. And then that pretty much takes the place of this box. You don't need the box anymore. So you can just delete it like that. Deleted the whole row. Not a problem. We'll put one under Alma too. Boom. Scrolls. Easy peasy. So yeah, this is easier in some programs than others, but it shouldn't be too difficult for you in something like Canva. Definitely not that difficult in Photoshop. Then, of course, you can add stuff like last names, birth dates, death dates, whatever you want to. You can add as much information as you want to in these little pods. So let's say 1850 to 1875. See? Death date. You can even add cause of death if you want to. God only knows what was going on with that whole scene. Apparently it's based off of a book, 100 Years in Solitude or something like that. Anyway, you can put a whole lot of info here, and then you could do something if you wanted, like this. Say they're married in 1873. You can put that here. Make it bigger, make it fancier, whatever you want to do. And then you have a marriage date. You can add a lot of info here without it getting too cluttered because of the structure. If you stay well organized, it'll remain clear and readable. So let me show you this example of this more complex family tree that I created to sort of give you examples of what you can do. This is pretty much as complicated as it gets without adding last names and causes of death, which I could have done, but anyway. This is the royal family tree for my upcoming book, The Orphan's King, coming out later this year. That is not important. Right away, you'll notice it's crazy tangled up. This would be due to the inbreeding. The same two families, the Sangers and White trees, kept marrying and intermarrying across generations. And over here, a man married his niece, who was close in age to him, but it's still pretty gross. She was still like 15. Anyway. This helps explain at a glance why there's only one living heir left, and also why this couple had so many stillbirths. It makes a lot of sense if you know literally anything about genetics, and if you see very quickly all this inbreeding and different guys marrying the same set of sisters over and over again, and then their kids marrying each other. So yeah, the inbreeding makes the stillbirths make a lot of sense. This also makes it a great example of how you can make your own family tree just like this, even if the family tree makers online all failed you, because they definitely failed me. A lot of them had a lot of trouble with all of this inbreeding, and they kept doing something like, oh, well, we'll just put this chick over here and make a copy of her, and then do that, and then leave her over here for this too. I'm like, that is cheating. No, you have to make all the crazy connections. That is the point. So, one of the things you'll notice right away is the key. This provides clarity to any reader that might look at this and be a little confused or overwhelmed. To me, it seems self-explanatory, but I had the space. It wasn't difficult to make a key. So we have this little key here, which is very useful. We also have the current year right here. If anybody cares about it, it is there, and mostly it's there for my reference, so I know how to do the math for things. You might also notice these little crowns. The little crowns indicate who was a ruler. So there's about one per generation. And the little dates on the crown, I have to zoom in for those, usually coincide to the date of death of the previous ruler, as it works. Okay, as you can see, I filled the scrolls in with white to indicate a person who is still alive. There are not that many of them, so it was easier to modify the scrolls from dead to alive than to do it the opposite way. At a glance, you can tell very quickly that there just are not that many left. Especially, this is a completely different family. So they're kind of doing okay, but these guys, not so much. And that's, kind of the whole point of the story. So over here, I added a child in gray. This line indicates a stillbirth or an infant who died before being named. So died usually before 6 months to a year. Whenever the SIDS time range is probably a safe bet, but some people didn't name their kids until age 2. The 5 in brackets is a common way to indicate that there are 5 different instances of this, but we're condensing it for the sake of brevity instead of just doing stillbirth, 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 stillbirth. I used it again over here to indicate that there are 4 other siblings. They're alive, but frankly nobody cares about them because this is a foster child. And his siblings are scattered to the wind, probably never will be brought up again. So this fosterling thing, that's the date of fostering. It's kind of a Theon Greyjoy kind of thing. It's really common in this world. But in this case, it was a little more like an adoption. So, and they have special lines like this to use for adoption, especially in medical family trees, where it actually does matter if somebody's adopted. So in this tree, I used double lines like this to indicate marriage. I used downward 90-degree angle branches for marriage and for children. And that way I could do second marriages like this. This guy had his first marriage, goes over here, these were his kids, and you have to follow it to his wife over here. And then he had a second marriage, and as you can see, it's to the right, so you kind of read his marriages from left to right. Second marriage had 1 kid over here. Here's the wife. And it also keeps the lines between boxes, or between rows, I should say, instead of getting between the boxes and making everything muddled. This helps to me to make it a lot clearer. You also note I added the years of marriage. I put them right on top of the intersection where the children are, as best as I could. This makes it easier to follow the line from spouse to marriage to progeny. Now here I used a break in the line to indicate a time jump. This person lived in the 400s or so. This person lived in the 1400s. So there's 1,000 years of family there with all of these siblings getting married and having kids. And frankly, we just don't care. What's really important is that they're related to this guy. Then over here, when a different family became involved, this is the Sanger family, but when the White Tree family became involved, I added their last name. This way, I didn't have to add Hope White Tree, Charity White Tree, whatever. And this actually works really well because I think it would just muddle it to put Sanger everywhere, or White Tree everywhere, because this family is crazy inbred. So it does not matter what their last names are. I added it occasionally with this guy and this lady over here. But with most of these, we don't really need it. I really hope this helps your family tree go faster, easier, simpler. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.